Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so glad that you're here. I'm excited. I can't wait to dive deep into this training. You could be anywhere in the world, but I'm glad that you're here. You're not going to be disappointed. I want to ensure you that no matter where you are today, after this training, you're going to be far better off in the 9 to 12 weeks, maybe even 6 weeks, if you apply the training that's provided today. You know, as they say, we can lead a horse to the water, but we can't force them to drink it. Well, neither one of us are the horse, but we're definitely thirsty to ensure that we want to drink as much as possible when offered. So you ready? It's time to go deep. Before we get started, what I need you to do is to get prepared. Yes, I'm putting you to work. It's time to do some homework, right? And your first part of your homework is simple. I need you to grab something to drink. I need you to grab a piece of paper and a pencil or marker or simply something that writes, because in this training, you're going to get tangible information that you're going to be able to walk away with and apply right away. Isn't that why you decided to come to this webinar on this day during this time? Absolutely. Well, you might be saying to yourself, I don't have a pencil or piece of paper. Guess what? It's called thinking outside of the bubble. Open up a Word document or Google Docs to an empty sheet of paper. And at the top, I want you to write, it's time to go deep. All right. So we got our paper and pencil. We have our Google Docs or Word doc. You might be thinking, I want to be able to have this on the go instead of being on my computer or on a sheet of paper. Then I want you to grab your smartphone, because it's really smart when we're using it the right way. Open up that notes section, open up the audio section so that you can capture the key points that you know that's going to be needed in your life at that time while we're going through this training. And guess what? If you don't have an iPhone, I'm sorry, but it's okay. Open up that Android, open up an app, notes or audio, and let's get started. I decided to do this training because what we learned from the COVID-19 pandemic, even before then, is that we needed to be able to really have a blueprint and a process or framework to get us from where we want to where we need to go. But we really need to get that blueprint, framework, or process from people who have gone before us that can really teach us how to navigate those open waters and swim safely to the shore. And that is why you're in this training today. And so this 5-step formula is going to allow you to navigate wherever you are in business, wherever you are in life, wherever you are in leadership or management or anything where the case might be, because it's going to require you to think deep, act deep, and make your behavior go in a different direction immediately as we begin. So you're going to be going through a metamorphosis. Let me stop talking. You done heard enough from me. You ready? It's time to go deep. Welcome to the 5-step formula to reach the urban market to build communities, launch grassroots initiatives, and scale your business. Now, you're probably wondering, is that possible? Absolutely, it's possible, because all things are possible, what? As long as you believe. Now, according to the World Bank, globally, over 50% of the population lives in urban areas today. By 2045, the world population will increase by 1.5 times to 6 billion. City leaders must move quickly to plan for the growth and provide the basic services, infrastructure, and affordable housing their expanding population need. If you're not currently in the urban market, now is the time to get started and get ready. According to Harvard Business Review, from 2010 to 2015, only 11 of 30 US metro areas achieved inclusive economic outcomes that increase their productivity, average wages, and standard of living. And now we know this needs to change. What we need is a new form of urbanism. and urbanism for all. Now, you're probably wondering who this is for. It's for you, it's for me, it's for career professionals, it's for experts, it's for leaders, it's for nonprofit leaders, it's for anyone who simply want to do work in the urban market and really better their processes, their bottom line, their return on investment, and really make a greater impact than where they were yesterday. And that's you. Welcome to It's Time to Go Deep. Now, the problem that we often find, or that I often see with individuals who want to do work in the urban market, is that they truly don't understand it. So I want you to write down this on your paper. What is the urban market? Go ahead. What is the urban market? And I'm going to give you 2 quick points so that you can quickly understand, although it's not the caveat to what the urban market is, it's going to help you start thinking differently right away about doing work in the urban market. So what is the urban market? When you think of the urban market, number one, I want you to think of the socioeconomic status of the constituents that live in the urban market, urban community. So number one, under the question, what is the urban market? I want you to write down 1, socioeconomic status. Number 2, I want you to write down family. Socioeconomic status, family. These 2 variables are important because the urban market encompasses the urban community, and the heart of the urban community is family. In the urban market, what separates it from the suburban and the rural market is simply socioeconomic status. You want to know why? Because you have Black people, white people, Puerto Rican, and Asian in all markets. But in the urban market, it's all about money and family. Got it? Great. So think about those 2 key concepts as we're moving forward. Now, one of the problems, or one of the barriers in the urban market, is that people don't acknowledge the barriers or know how to navigate those barriers. And so the acknowledgement, write this down, what are some barriers in the urban market? You ready? Because that's the next question. Remember, I told you we're going deep. So I want you to start thinking differently so that you can start changing your behavior so that you can put this your behavior into a new type of action immediately after this is over. So an acknowledgement of a barrier in the urban market, 1 is financial, a lack of financial resources, a lack of resources, health disparities, educational disparities, transportation disparities, so I'm gonna stop there. So we have educational disparities, health disparities, transportation disparities, financial disparities, and the list can go on and on. So now we talked about what the urban market is and what are some of the barriers. And now that we know what are some of the barriers, how do we navigate through those barriers, right? Hold on to that second question, and hopefully you wrote down those extra tips. If not, be sure to go back to the beginning, replay this so you can capture them. Because after this, you're going to be able to go at least have a simple understanding of how to begin to work in an urban market. Now, most individuals think that if they have power, they have influence. In the rural and the suburban areas, maybe so. You may be a nonprofit leader or a consultant with a $2 million grant, and you probably can go into the rural and the suburban market right off the bat and pitch a program that CEO Fortune 500 companies and CEOs of those companies or school systems would be happy to have you. However, if you have not done the research and understand what the need is or the cause in that market, no matter how much power and influence you are, you're going to continue to run into brick walls. And then when you're thinking about creating buy-in, buy-in again is not what's in it for me, it's what's in it for your cause or the need or the problem that you are addressing. So I want you to write this question down. What problem or need am I addressing currently in my business? What need or problem, according to your targeted market audience, that you are addressing right now? Got it? Now my question to you is, what products or services or programs that you have to address those problems or cause or solution? You with me? Now, underneath of it, I want you to add urban market. Now, according to your problem, cause, or need, are these problem, causes, or need that relate to the urban market? Now, remember, a few slides ago, I talked about 2 key variables that make the urban market distinguishable, right? I need you to go back and rewind because I'm not going to repeat it, all right? Now, once you have identified those, I want you to then take a look at your products, services, and programs that you identified, and will they meet the needs of the 2 variables that are key to the urban market? If the answer is no, there is no creating buy-in. And if the answer is no for the urban market, the rural market, or the suburban market, then we know that we need to scratch wherever you are and start all over. And that's okay, because guess what? Everybody at some point had to start at some point or restart again to get where they ultimately wanted to go. It's called growth and progress. So don't feel some kind of way. But did you capture that? Great. If not, make sure you hit the rewind button. Now, we just talked about products and services. What I want you to do is write down, what are my current number? I want you to list, what are your 3 to 5 top products and services that your company offers? What are the 3 to 5 products and services that my company offers? Now, you may offer 20 products and services, but now you got to kind of take a look at what are the ones that are increasing your bottom line, increasing your revenue, helping you build communities, helping you to scale your business, helping either you to launch that business or grassroots initiative that you're thinking about. Take a moment and write it down. Got it? Let's see. Let me see what you had. I want you to share with me in a chat right now. And here's what I want you to do. Because everyone is paying attention, you can do 1 or 2 things. You can send it in a chat to all, or you can send it to me. What are some of your top 3 to 5 products and services? All right, I see programming. I see t-shirts. Somebody got a hairline. All right, online store, online school, great. So these are the products and services that are currently bringing you money. All right. Now, can you take those same products and services across all markets? Rural, urban, suburban. Now, going back to the 2 key variables that distinguish the urban market, can any of these products and services that you just listed as your top money makers, that's bringing in revenue into your business, that's help paying the bills, that's helping to go from red to green, out of the red to black, can they help to solve anything in the urban market? Or can they help the urban family? Or any? Great. And if not, guess what? It's fine. Because that means I got you thinking deeper than where you were 20 minutes ago. Because it's all about going deep. It's great to be on the surface. But what we learned in COVID-19 is that anybody can end up on an unemployment line. And everybody ended up on the unemployment line, or waiting for that PPP loan to come in, or that SBA loan to come in, or I don't even know. It was so many options back then. But guess what? What we know now is that if we're not learning to pivot in our products and services and in the market with who we want to work with, we might end up back on an unemployment line with no PP options, no SBA loans, and no bottom line. That's what COVID has taught us, because guess what? We're still in a pandemic and everything is technology based. Great, let's move on. You capture all that? And even if you didn't get 3 to 5 written down, even if you have one, let's start with that one product or that one service or that one program that's going to help to change your bottom line and help to solve a need or cause in an area that's wide open and untapped. You ready? Let's keep going. All right, support team. This is one of the ultimate problems that all of us go through, anyone goes through, is building that support team. Now, if you are an individual such as a leader or consultant or career professional or an expert or someone that's doing business, for-profit or nonprofit, or even a social enterprise individual who has one, you probably didn't ask your good girlfriend, girl, come on over here, help me out. You got, your mom and your dad, your aunts or your uncles sitting there helping you out on a weekend. They help you, you help me, right? But my question to you is, and this is what I want you to write down, is your current support team reflective of your niche market? Dr. Dorsey, you just went deep. It's called deep dive, right? Deep dive training. Is your current support team reflective of your niche market? Let me give you an example. Let's say you are a nonprofit leader, right? And you're looking to recruit board members. You want to work with inner city at-risk youth that might include single moms, poverty population at risk, runaways. How many people on your board is reflective of your niche market? Do you have single moms on your board? Do you have youth on your board? Do you have anyone that work with at-risk youth outside of your interests? Do you currently have a relationship with anyone that runs programming, successful programming, that can help navigate and add value to your board governance? If the answer is no, that's a great example of how or why most organizations aren't doing so well, or where they need to start. So your support team, absolutely, in the beginning, should include those that support you best. But as your company grows, as your mission grows, as your organizational value and objectives shift, so should that of your support team that's going to help you out and that's going to help steer you in the right direction. Let's take a for-profit. Let's say you are a consultant that want to do work. In your entourage, do you have an accountant? Do you have a tax person? Do you have a person that can do admin work for you? Do you have interns? Do you have volunteers? I don't know. What do you have? Who do you have? Well, now is the time to go deep. List those individuals if you have not already. And guess what? It's a starting point, because as you think of the two variables we talked about before that signifies the difference between an urban market versus a suburban and rural market, which I want you to keep those two variables in mind. We talked about the barriers. We're going to talk about navigating those barriers in a second. We talked about the power or the lack thereof of power and influence. We talked about creating buy-in. We talked about your products and services and measuring their current impact versus that of the needs or the heart of the urban market. And now we're down to the support team. You with me? Absolutely you are, which is why you're here, which is why you're tuning in. If this is relating to you in any way, in your current position, where you want to go, where you've been thinking about it, give me a number 1 right now in the chat. Yes, 1, 1, 1, 1. Yay, you guys are with me right now. This is how we go deep. And guess what? If you have a friend or someone on your team that's not a part of this, training, I want you to pick up the phone, call them right now, say, you need to get on this training because Dr. Dorsey is going deep. Come on, pause this for a second. Tell them, go get them. You know what? This should be an automatic training for your entire staff. Yes, I'm telling you. Staff training so they can go just as deep as you, so you all can be on the same accord. Because guess what? Before we can go into the 5-step framework on how to provide solutions, we always have to begin to evaluate where we are. You just went through a quick self-assessment. Yep, that's just how great and awesome you are. And guess what? Now you have a tangible list from where to begin with, thinking differently, not about where you are in a rural and suburban area, but really how to pivot your business and your business model to the urban market, which has untapped potential. You understand? You with me? Great. Now, welcome to the 5-step formula to reach the urban market, to build communities, launch grassroots initiatives, and to scale your business. Your question is, or maybe, where do we start? Well, guess what? You started a little over 20 minutes ago. So now we're going into the meat and the heart of what's going to help turn your frown upside down, turn those no's into yeses, turn your bottom line into scalability, take that conversation into building communities, or take that idea into launch mode. You ready? I'm ready too. But wait, before we get started, I forgot to tell you who I was. My name is Dr.Tekemia Dorsey. Like you, or most of you, I have 4 wonderful children who keep me on my toes, who help me to understand and motivate me each and every day, not because I'm their mom, but they just inspire me because sometimes they listen, sometimes they don't. But when they do, I can see their growth and development, which makes me happy. I'm an educator, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a leader, I am an expert, I'm a curriculum designer, I am I sit on board, I'm a nonprofit leader, I'm a best-selling author, and all of those great things. But right now, I'm your trainer. I'm on your team. I am here to help you go deep into changing your current business model to where you are, to where you want to go, so that not only you can help others, you can help, not only can you help yourself, but you're also going to have a greater impact than where you were a few minutes ago. And again, if your partners or your friend or your good girlfriend or your boyfriend or even your frenemy is not part of this training, I want you to pause it, get on the phone with them right now and say, man, Dr. Dorsey going deep. I already got a framework. I'm ready to hit the urban market. They might be like, girl, man, what you talking about? You know what? Just make it a training for everybody. Bring them on over, get your popcorn, some steak. Okay, let me stop. But anyway, make sure everybody goes through this training because we're all in it together. You ready? Now, what I want to do, unfortunately, in the time that I have, I can't cover all 5 steps, but I am going to drop 2 deep nuggets right now. You still got the piece of paper and pencil right now? Great. Right? Turn it on the back because people telling me they don't have enough room on the front. Great. That means that you're doing the work. You are doing the work. Woo! Give me a high five. Turn it on the back. Got it? All right. So for those of y'all that got laptops open up a new tab, grab your phone, new audio, new notes. If you got an Android, do what you got to do. Anyway, because we're about to go in all the way. You ready? Now, number 2, I wanted to do number 2 of my 5-step formula, because this was one of the examples we talked about earlier, right? In an indirect way, one of the problems that we have in business, right? As an entrepreneur, as a leader, as a consultant, as an expert, as a career professional, anyone who simply wants to do business or even a hobby, is truly identifying that targeted audience, because it's so many audiences you can go after, right? Absolutely. But when we try to go after everything, we get lost. So we want to go from here to narrow tunnel vision. You know how when you're talking to your kids one day and they like in the next room and you're calling their name or your husband or your wife, right? Or when they're in trouble, somebody in trouble, you'd be like, Randy, come here. And you know this kid is hearing you. BJ, come here. All of a sudden, no one hears you because they think they either got to do something or they're focusing on something they're not supposed to be doing, or they just don't want to do something. Well, that's the kind of tunnel vision I want you to get when you're thinking about your targeted audience, right? So targeted audience to me is exactly who you want to go after, not everybody else to the side. Mind you, I have 4 children, but if I'm calling one, I want that one. But if I'm calling all 4, I'm calling them at random, having Haley, BJ, Haley, it doesn't matter. Come here. But when you're doing business, you can't be all over the place. You can't focus on everybody with quality. So when you're thinking about that targeted audience, it has to be one and one only. And if anyone knows anything about you, it's because of that one thing that you're great at. For example, Ask Kathy started her fast food chain restaurant on May 23rd, 1946. Do you know what her chain restaurant is? Write this down. Under step 2, identify your targeted audience on your paper. I want you to write who you think, what restaurant chain you think Ask Kathy is the owner of. I know I'm funny. Okay, we ain't got that time, right? Even though I love Jeopardy and Alex Trebek, right? Ask Kathy is the owner of none other than Chick-fil-A. Do you want to know the secret to Chick-fil-A's success after 80 years? Well, let me share with you and write this down. Ask Kathy on May 23rd, 1946, opened up the first Chick-fil-A restaurant in Hapeville, Georgia. Her business model was 6 days on and a 7th day off. Today, 70 years later, Chick-fil-A is the #1 restaurant in the US, bringing in more money than Taco Bell, McDonald's, Burger King, you name it, right? But here's the kick. What most people don't know or understand is that Ask Kathy's model is not ideal. But what we do know is that when you're thinking about doing work in an urban market, and remember the 2 variables I told you about that separate the urban market from everyone else. If not, rewind this, be sure to download it and take note. The 7th day is a Sabbath day. It's family. So they were open Monday through Saturday, and on the 7th day, everybody is off. Employees, manager, family members at home. And in the urban market, in the heart of the urban market, which is the urban community, in the heart of the urban community, which is family, that is the #1 value to moms, dads, grandmoms, and everybody else. So what is the story behind Ask Kathy? She knew her market, she knew her model, she knew her niche, and people thought she lost her mind. She didn't lose her mind. What she didn't do was waver because no one believed except her. Remember in the beginning when I said, is this possible? And I said, all things are possible as long as you believe. Write in the chat, I believe. Yes, I believe. Write it down. I believe. You must believe in what your targeted audience is and what you can do for them. And guess what? Even if it's not ideal, don't be afraid to start over. So on your sheet of paper, after the story of Esther Kathy, I want you to write down what your targeted niche is. Who's your target audience, right? For me, originally, when I started in the sport of triathlon, our targeted audience through my nonprofit were adults. And as soon as we kicked that bad boy off, organizations everywhere were focusing on African Americans in the sport. Man, it was so much competition going on. We had to reel that sucker back in like a fish, and we had to start all over. And lo and behold, we went from the adults to the youth. But here was the thing, working with the youth in the sport of triathlon was an untapped market and niche altogether. Because at that point, the national governing body, which is related to the Olympics, was just rearing up their model for youth. There wasn't a model for youth in the urban market, in the urban community, and focusing on the youth. But man, let me tell you something. I rolled my sleeves up, had my own kids, having Haley and BJ looking at me. They was like, Mom, we want to do what you did when I completed Ironman. I was like, you want to be doing Ironman? They was like, no, silly, we want to be triathletes. In less than 4 years, because of their one question and inquiry, and then helping them to lead the way in a program design, we went from a no model to an award-winning international model that's now being used and reported on across the globe in our sport. So are all things possible? Absolutely, as long as you believe and as long as you are willing to go deep and put in the work. So who is your targeted audience? What is your niche? Who is your niche? I don't know that. If you have it written down, you're on your way. And if not, if you needed to go back to the drawing board like what I did, guess what? It's called brainstorming. It's called setting a foundation. Either you know who you want to go after, like Esther Kathy, and be successful right off the market, or you can be like a Dr.Tekemia Dorsey who started off, had to go back to the drawing board and still rose to the top, right? Somebody always call and see that's Satan just trying to interrupt this training, but we're going deep and we're going to keep it moving. You got that? All right, we winding down, so I got to move through this. But if we're going too quickly and you're not able to catch all of this, I want you to text the word DD print to 443-267-8783 right now, so that we can be sure to send you our blueprint for this training so far, so you can get it and compare it to what you have already. Or if you're jumping in, we can make sure that you get it and not miss out. All right, we're on a home stretch now. You ready? You deep? You thinking? Because guess what? The urban market is waiting for you. Okay, let's go. Now, the second topic I want to talk about, which really ties into number 2 of the 5-step formula, is called value proposition. Whew, that's a whole seminar and webinar half-day training, right? But I'm going to try to squeeze it in as much as I can in the time we have. So when you think of value proposition, I want you to think of what separates you from everybody else. So number 2, we talked about identifying your targeted audience, right? Esther Kathy did it well. I started, came back to the drawing board, did it again. And so now we're talking about really those products and services and programs that separate you from everyone else. So imagine you walked into a Chamber of Commerce networking breakfast, right? That is, everybody in there is doing the same thing that you're doing for the most part. They have simply the target audience that you're after. And you're probably thinking like, golly, I'm not going to be able to really market myself because everybody's doing the same thing. Wrong. Write down the big X. Wrong. Wrong. Why is it wrong? Because you are fearfully and wonderfully made in his image. So if 20 people in a market, or in a, not in a market, in a Chamber of Commerce breakfast has the same targeted audience with the same mindset as you, you want to know what's different? You. No one can do a vision or implement a vision and leadership like you. So what is it about you, your products, your services, and your programs that separate you from everybody else? Wait, that was a little too deep. I'm fishing right now, reeling us back in. Let's start with, and we started this when we talked about the barriers, products and services and programs, right? But my question to you is, what makes you different than everybody else? What makes your leadership style different? What makes your organization different? Is your marketing message the way you want it to be? Are you seen enough? Do people really know who you are? Is your message clear? Is your statement clear? Does it help your employees feel valued? Does it evoke leadership internally? So when we're thinking about value proposition, it's just not external with products, services, and programs, it's also internal. Well, that's a whole webinar. So let's go back to the external, right? So what separates your organization from all the other nonprofits if you're a nonprofit leader?